price you pay to pursue your dreams. Grinding every day to get that dream. Ain't no holding back until you get your shot. One day you're gonna open your eyes and be on top. That's the price you pay to pursue your dreams. Grinding every day to get that dream. Ain't no holding back until you get your shot. One day you're gonna open your eyes and be on top. Been playing this game since I was 10 years of age. I wanted to make my mark ever since my Pop Warner days. When I strapped that helmet, I'm knocking dudes into a blaze. A lockdown corner going all the way through 7th and 8th grade. Entering high school, I'm ready to write another page. Busting my ass and lifting weights. It's a much higher level, but I'm still making plays. No time to party or bask in my glory days. It's college preparatory classes every single day. Living my life with that singular goal. It's the fire inside that makes me whole. Looking in the mirror, my muscles swole. I'm on a mission, and I'm never gonna stop. When the ball's in the air like Sherman, I'm a hawk. And I promise I'll overcome whatever life throws at me. Okay, welcome to the Ageless Movement podcast. I'm your co-host, Scott Lohman.
I'm Sang Pongnak.
Okay, today we're going to talk about our experiences with the Moderna vaccine.
You mean the second?
Well, with both, actually.
Oh, okay.
So we'll go into that. I think we should start from the top, from our actual Moderna vaccine, the first injection, and then kind of compare how the second one was different.
Okay.
Okay, so for the first Moderna vaccine, I didn't really feel anything at all. In fact, even my tricep didn't hurt until I'd say the afternoon of the second day. And literally all I got was a mild headache. And then maybe 3 days after that, I kind of had a persistent muscle ache in my neck that I had to roll and roll and roll. And I ended up waking up not feeling too good. But, you know, just because of the tightness that I have in my neck, that lends me to these problems anyway. So, that was my experience with the first injection. What was yours?
Oh, the first injection, as soon as I left the building, I got into my car and I felt kind of like a stress or tension headache, and super mild to the point that it was just annoying, but not enough for me to want to take any medication. In general, I tend not to take any medication anyway. So it was just more annoying.
Yeah.
So really simple, easy. I mean, first shot seemed like nothing. In fact, I almost expected that for the second one, but people kept telling me stories. So the second one was completely different.
Yeah. See, that's basically. But you had soreness in your triceps, didn't you?
I actually had more soreness in my arm the second shot.
But I mean, you did have soreness in the first shot, right?
Not too bad. I mean, yeah, I did. I felt heavy that night. So, like, when I was sitting in the recliner, when I went to lift my arm, I almost couldn't do it. It was so heavy. I'd forgotten about that, actually.
Well, that's why I asked you about that. I didn't want to leave that out.
Yeah. No, you're right. And I was fortunate because I think my shot was on a Tuesday, and then Wednesday I was starting a new job. And so I did a lot of demos, and that actually helped. With, like, I think moving and blood flow. So it was good that it turned out that way. I didn't want to move the first shot, but I did move the second shot to the end of the week.
See, that's what's funny for me because it's funny. So after I got the first Moderna shot, like I said, I really only had headaches and maybe a little soreness in the triceps, but it came literally like more than 24 hours later. And what was interesting was maybe the day after, I felt tired and fatigued before I was about to teach class. I almost like fell asleep in the warm-ups. But somehow I woke up halfway through class. And then, I had one of these conversations with myself where I'm like, okay, maybe I shouldn't go to the gym today. And then, of course, you know what I did, right?
Yes.
I went to the gym. And, it was great. And then I felt 100% better because of that. So it's just kind of interesting. I think it may not be so much the vaccine that causes the soreness in the triceps or the deltoid area. I think it's probably a larger needle, and it probably does a little more, damage going in than the way it slips in compared to other needles, I would guess.
So I've heard different things from different
Yeah, what
people.
have you heard about that?
One of my friends, she went to one site in South City, and then her second one was, I believe, at Stanford. And she said the nurse had said that they used a kinder needle on the second one. So my guess is that it must vary in general.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm. She brought that up because she's afraid of needles. So.
Oh, she's afraid of needles too? Mm-hmm. Ah, interesting. Anyway, so yeah, I feel like for the first one was pretty much a breeze. I was mentally prepared to spend some time on my back, sleeping a lot, and not working after the second one, because that's what so many people had told us. But what I found was, I really think your age played a big role in that. So people that were really young, like our massage therapist, Phil, he was 31. I think his wife, Shannon's somewhere around that age. Mm-hmm. They were knocked out for a full 24 hours. And you and I had way different experience than that. In fact, my dad wasn't even phased at all. He just got a rash, but he's 92. Mm-hmm. And it could be, when you're younger, your autoimmune response is greater because it just hasn't seen, it hasn't seen all the different diseases and bacteria and stuff like that as when you're older, because you have this history of fighting infections for that many years. And I think when you're younger, your autoimmune response is just going to be automatically greater, and maybe that's why younger people are more symptomatic.
But you forgot.
What did I forget?
You took the advice of the person who gave you the shot on
Yes.
the second one, and I did not.
Okay, so that's the other thing. They told me two things: drinking a lot of water, which I do anyway, and then taking Tylenol that night just to be safe, because it doesn't adversely affect the vaccine by taking Tylenol. So yeah, I took Tylenol that night, and I felt nothing, almost nothing the next day, and then I felt almost the same, right? I started to feel some fatigue, but once again, I went to the gym, I felt fine, but then I got persistent headaches for about 3 or 4 days after that. Especially, I'd wake up in the morning with headaches, and it was very easy to get my neck tightening up, and it's just funny thing about the vaccine and the whole autoimmune response thing. It seemed to go after every area where you were aching right up to the time that you get that injection. Like the first time my quads got really sore as well, because they were sore as hell. And then the second time my neck was sore, and that just stayed sore.
Yeah, so I did not. Actually, we had the same person give us
We
our
did,
shots,
yeah.
but I don't remember him saying anything to me. He was just, for me, he was like, you made it. You crossed the finish line.
Yeah.
But I don't remember anything about the Tylenol. So I went home, and I thought nothing of it, and the next day I was supposed to go hang out with some friends, and I get there and I run into my friend's husband while I'm there, and he was like, he had a migraine to the point that he couldn't even make any of his meetings. So he had mentioned that he had taken the Tylenol, and I thought about it, and I was like, maybe I should have also, but I'm okay. I seem fine. I'm ready to, hang out with you guys. So I did, and everything was fine. And then as soon as I got back to the center,
Yeah.
I passed out on the floor.
Oh my God. I remember
So-
that. I have a picture of
Yeah.
you actually slumbering away on the mat with some kind of blanket around you. You look so cute and adorable. I just had to take a picture of it.
Yeah, because I still had one more client in the evening,
Yeah.
and I was worried that I wouldn't have the energy to train him. So I was like, I'm going to take a nap now.
Okay, so that's a good point. So the other thing that I noticed about the headaches was if I had just rolled out and relaxed or whatever, I don't think the headache would have gotten as bad. But the thing is, it was a Friday, I remember.
Yep.
And we drive to Tracy, and that's after a full day's worth of work. I'd gone to the gym, we ate dinner, we packed everything, made sure my dad was okay. Then we took off, and it's like 10 o'clock at night,
Yes.
in some cases 10:30. And driving to Tracy, for those of you that aren't from the Bay Area, or maybe you just are from the Bay Area, but you just stay on the peninsula and you don't make that trek, it's a more difficult drive than you would normally, experience driving from, say, I don't know, San Jose to San Francisco. Because, you go down, you go through Castro Valley, and as soon as you get into Dublin, you start to see a little bit of craziness. Some people driving like 150 through there, other people driving slow. So it's a little bit unpredictable. Easy for me, though. I'm a race car driver. Then you go over the Altamont Pass, and that's where it gets really interesting because people fall asleep. Or they just can't go around a turn. I don't know what the problem is. It's such an easy bank turn. I could probably take that turn $1.30 in all my cars and not even trying hard. But yet people will suddenly swerve into other lanes. So you got to really be aware, all times of day, but especially at night, because I think people are very tired. So just that whole kind of situation made my headache worse because I should have been relaxing then, and instead I'm driving. And that's when I gave you 2 Tylenol at that point because you weren't feeling well. I remember before we left, I said, baby, let me give you this Tylenol. You'll be fine.
Right. And I only took one, remember? One for my
yes,
size
you're
and
teeny,
2 for you.
You're teeny tiny and I'm much larger.
And I literally, as soon as I took the Tylenol, I was already feeling better. And then, of course, I slept the whole way because I told you I would all the way to Tracy. But that Saturday, I also slept in a good portion of the day, too.
Yeah, you did a lot of sleeping. My headaches limit how much I can sleep sometimes, a lot of the times. And having the Moderna shot definitely kind of made the headache situation worse. So I'd have to get up and roll and do things like that. I probably only slept about 7 hours each night, where I could normally get 8 on the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
So once we made it past the weekend, everything seemed fine. And I had the whole leg development happen. So what you were feeling in your quads,
yeah, that was
I had
brutal.
2 weeks worth of that. I've never had pain in my quads before, especially when I'm sleeping.
It's a weird feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, so it woke me up and it's kind of made me nervous about like what it was because it's something I never experienced. I'm a pretty solid sleeper, and my quads were killing me, and I would just like get these jolts in the middle of the night, and then once I woke up, it would take me a while to fall back asleep. So I was kind of monitoring it. I mean, I was kind of to the point where I was contemplating going to the doctor to probably end up taking a whole bunch of tests because I was concerned. And then you gave me your appointment to the massage therapist.
Yeah, that's right. I did.
I gave him my laundry list of things to work on. And I said, and by the way, I have something new for you. Like all these years, I mean, we've been seeing him for 6-7 years. I'm like, here's one area I've never had you touch, and it's my quads. And so he did. He goes into it, and he's like, how's this one? And I'm like, uh-huh. And I'm like, I feel it. He goes, how about this one? And I'm like, yeah, I feel it. He goes, you got a knot in both of them.
Yeah, that's nobody's business there.
So I'm like, oh, great. You've managed to teach me about every part of my body. And now we've officially made it to every part except for my jaw. I've never had you work on my jaw.
He never worked on your jaw?
No, somebody else works on my jaw.
Oh, yeah. He's good. He can get in there and really release those mandibular muscles.
Yeah. So that is the one place he has not worked on for me, but I think the rest, and now officially he's hit every part except for my jaw.
That's great. So next thing I just want to talk about in regards to the Moderna vaccines, I think what we experienced was a small price to pay for 2 things: to ensure we're not going to die alone in a hospital, which is horrific to even think about.
I've had to think about that.
Yeah, both of us have.
Yeah.
The other thing too is it's also great knowing knowing what we know now based on the CDC's data that came in from Israel and other places, that these messenger RNA vaccines are 97% effective against death and 86% effective against the spread, especially with asymptomatic people. It's great to know you did your part to end the pandemic, which is something we wouldn't be doing if we were not vaccinated. And you could say, yeah, you can be careful. And, you and I were very careful, and we were very fortunate to never get the coronavirus. I should say never contract the infection. But that doesn't mean that we couldn't have caught it at a later date. And the thing that's scary is 2 healthy people like us would probably, and I say probably because you don't know, survive this with mild to maybe moderate symptoms. and there's a chance that it can mutate in us, and then we pass it on to someone else who maybe isn't very healthy, and that's where the trouble begins. And it's good to know we did our part. I think science. I thank God for science every morning I wake, because not only because of the vaccines, but we simply take for granted our whole life, whether it's polio or measles and rubella. These are things that just killed people in droves so many years ago. And but also because of my knee surgery and how I was able to make 100% recovery. And you think about if this had happened in any other time period, like let's say we were alive in the 1800s, I'd be disabled the rest of my life. Or in medieval times, whatever, I'd be done. I mean, I'd be unable to provide and be independent. But because of science, the miracles of science, I'm able to pick up right where I left off. And we all need to be very thankful for that. And, for me, I want to really thank not only the scientists, but I really want to thank the people that work in the field, that collect the data, that are willing to put on hazmat suits, go into bat caves, do all this crazy stuff where there's just viruses everywhere that we don't even know about, to prevent us from being sick. They risk their own lives. They spend hours and hours a day capturing birds and sampling their blood and doing all this incredible work that's really for the human race. And to me, from us, I'll say, to you, thank you.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add, Say?
No.
This is just a quick podcast from Ageless Movement. I wanted to talk to you about the symptoms. If you have any unusual experiences, or maybe a normal experience with your messenger RNA vaccine or your J&J, or if you're listening to this in another part of the world and you took AstraZeneca, let us know in the comment section what you think. And that brings up what we have to ask every time. Please like and subscribe our video if you like it. Subscribe to our channel. It expands our video to a wider audience. Our podcast to a wider audience. All right. So we'll get back to you in the future, okay? Anything else you want to say, Sing?
Nope, that's everything.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.